For the day is the Rocky Mountain gun owners. So I will flip the camera around and let you see what's going on. If I can do that.
It takes your God-given right, protected by the Second Amendment, to purchase the firearm of your choice, and then puts a paywall behind it, and now says this is a government-regulated privilege for which you must pay and prove yourself worthy in order to exercise. You now must obtain a firearms owner or firearms safety eligibility card, meaning you have to go submit your fingerprints and biometric data to your sheriff's office. They then have to send that off to CBI. You have to get a background check to then get a background check and pay for both of them. So when you get this firearm safety eligibility card, you then have to take a 12-hour anti-gun indoctrination course. This is not a firearm safety training course. This is, you're not going to learn anything about how to safely handle or use a firearm in this 12-hour course that they're going to make you take. What they're going to teach you about is they're going to teach you about how red flag laws are great and how everyone's a ticking time bomb of insanity, and that's why we need to limit guns. Why gun control works. They're going to spew Bloomberg-backed studies about how guns are allegedly the #1 killer of children, which is totally, completely false. It's fake news. It's made up. It's not true at all. And then what they're going to do is they're going to indoctrinate them so much that they're going to make people feel guilty, and they're going to make people not want to exercise their right, or they're going to scare people out of exercising their rights. Now, when you take this course, that's not the end of the line. You then have to pass a literacy test with 90% or higher. Once you pass that literacy test, which they have there's no standards for how long the test has to be. There's no standards for the difficulty of the test. It just says you have to pass with 90% or greater. After you pass that test, you then can get your permit, your permission slip, to go buy the most commonly used semi-automatic weapons in America, and commonly purchased semi-automatic weapons in America. And then when you go buy your gun, you have to buy it now taxed at 6.5%. You have to buy your ammo taxed at 6.5%. And then last but not least, and it's on top of sales tax, that's on top of Pittman-Robertson, which is the federal excise tax. And last but not least, you can't even take your gun home on the same day. You gotta wait 72 hours to cool down, and then you can take your gun home. I mean, anyone who believes that this has anything to do with safety whatsoever and doesn't have to do with civilian disarmament, trying to put up roadblocks to constitutional rights, and try to overall keep people and ban guns, not through an outright ban, which they know would get struck down in court, but through a bunch of small and large pieces of red tape and regulation to make it so difficult to buy and so expensive to buy a firearm, because there's no cap on the fee for this permit that you would have to obtain. There is no processing window. So in certain other states that have permit to purchase, they say the state shall issue this permit within 30 days of an application approval. This bill doesn't have any of that. The state is not actually required to process your application. It's not required at all. Yes, ma'am.
What's going to keep people from going to Wyoming and buying their guns and ammo there?
There's not really nothing, more or less, other than the fact that you can't purchase a handgun out of state. They would have to ship that handgun here to your local FFL, which once it is transferred into a Colorado FFL, the 6.5% tax then applies. So what they're doing is they're really trying to make it, I mean, you can go buy ammo, you can go buy magazines in Wyoming. Depending on where you go, you can buy some long guns in Wyoming, but also the state of California has been cracking down on Arizona, on Californians who are going to Arizona to buy banned weapons at gun shows. They're literally sending the California State Police and their version of CBI to follow people across the line to Arizona, surveil them while they buy these guns at a gun show, and when they cross back into the state, they come and arrest them.
That's insane.
Don't think for 1 second that Michael Bennett or Phil Weiser won't try to put something like that in place, because they will. And the worst part about Senate Bill 3 is that you're required to take a class from a concealed handgun permit instructor, despite the fact that the curriculum for your permit to purchase is completely different than your curriculum to purchase a concealed handgun permit. And we have these new concealed handgun regulations going into effect, I believe in about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. It's either June or July 1st. I don't remember off the top of my head. But in the next 30 to 60 days, we're gonna have these new concealed handgun permit requirements going into effect, which is 8-hour course, live fire shooting, and a literacy test with 80% or better. Yes, ma'am.
What about renewals of concealed carry?
If you have not renewed your concealed handgun permit early, you need to do it as soon as humanly possible. At this point, it might be too late. At this point, you may be stuck taking the new course and having to jump through all those hoops. That's why for the last year, since last legislative session, I've been telling my members, go out and renew your concealed handgun permits as soon as humanly possible. If they expire after 2025, after May of 2025, go get them renewed immediately. And the issue is now we're gonna have this huge backlog of people. El Paso County already has it. They already have a backlog out to the end of the year of people trying to sign up for concealed handgun permit classes. And now what's gonna happen is we're gonna be funneling the permit to purchase classes through the same instructor, so something is gonna give. People either aren't going to be getting their permits to purchase, or they're not gonna be getting their concealed handgun permits, because now, under the new permitting scheme, the concealed handgun scheme, not just anyone can become an instructor like it used to be. You now have to get permission from the sheriff to be a concealed handgun instructor, and you have to do it in every single county that you want to be an instructor in. So it's not like how it is currently, where somebody from Eagle County can go down to Arapahoe County, take a concealed handgun class, get their certificate, and then get their permit. No, now if they want to get their permit in Eagle County, the instructor they're going to must be certified in Eagle County, or the sheriff can deny their permitting application. So, a lot of very bad things happened this session. There was a bill to pretty much strangle gun shows out of existence. There was a bill to ban adults under 21 from purchasing ammunition. There was a bill to mandate anti-gun propaganda pamphlets get handed out in schools now. So now every single student and every parent is now going to be getting a pamphlet that's going to get printed with your tax dollars talking about why guns are bad. In addition, on that pamphlet, they're going to be showing kids how to red flag their parents.
So if you get mad at your
I wish I was
parents, you
joking.
just
Yeah,
But I am not. This is total communist Soviet Russia garbage.
Wow.
And in addition, there was a bill that was pushed, Senate Bill 86, which was a California-style censorship bill. And it was a bill that was pushed as a way to protect children from dying of fentanyl, from getting solicited for drugs on the internet. That's how it was sold. In reality, this bill was almost a carbon copy of a bill that Gavin Newsom signed into law in California a year and a half ago that's being used to shut down the gun industry and shut down Second Amendment content on social media platforms in the state of California. Thankfully, the Republican members of the state house were able to block an attempt to veto Governor Polis's, to block an attempt to override Governor Polis's veto on Senate Bill 86. He actually did one thing right this session, and he vetoed a California-style censorship bill, which honestly kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
But a broken clock is right twice a day. RMGO, we hand-delivered a letter to his office, and it was a very nicely worded letter, and it listed out all the reasons why he should veto it, and I guess he decided to listen to us for once. And he vetoed it, and the Senate overrode the veto, but we were able to block the veto override in the House, thank God. In addition to that, we were able to kill a bill that would have forced all security officers in the state of Colorado to get licensed with a governor-appointed board.
Oh my God.
So if you want to be a church security officer, if you want to be a school resource officer,
Wow.
if you are ever going to be in a situation where you're getting robbed and you may potentially have to interact with law enforcement, which means as simple as picking up the phone and calling 911 because someone's robbing your shop, you would have to get licensed by the state board. So hypothetically, if some crazy BLM rioters or Antifa rioters come and break into your store and you call the police, but you're not licensed by the state board, you could get in trouble with the law
Right.
for not getting licensed to call the police. That was House Bill 1262. We called it the Public Safety Obstruction Board. They have gone so far down the line of protecting criminals. They protect criminals like it's their job. Like it's their job to protect these people who are going out and committing property crimes and stealing cars. We unfortunately, I'll get to you in 1 second. We fought really hard. My team and I, we had a lot of sleepless nights. We had a lot of weekends where we were, did not get a chance to spend time with our families. We were out working, we were out knocking doors. We did everything we possibly could, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. And the reason it wasn't enough is because right now, if we want to kill anything, we have to convince 11 communist Democrats to vote with the Constitution.
Good luck.
That's not
In
gonna
the
happen.
Senate, we have to convince 6 communist Democrats to vote with the Constitution. What's my point here? We keep voting these people back in. These people keep getting voted in over and over and over again. And there are people here in Adams County who they need to be sent away. Jenny Wilford is probably the worst out of all of them. She had a total meltdown because we dared to drop flyers in her district. She tried to claim that a young man who now works for RMGO, he's probably 150 pounds soaking wet. She tried to claim that he came and threatened her 5-year-old kid and tried to threaten her. She claimed that he threatened her 5-year-old kid to tell her that if she didn't vote against gun control, that something bad was going to happen. She made this up and spun this yarn on the House floor,
Wow.
and then tried to claim that it was all our fault. You know, this is the reason it's our fault that gun control is passing because we're out there, so we're extremists and we're scaring, these poor communists at their homes, even though that is not what happened at all. It was a complete lie. It was a total fabrication.
That makes me think her other thing is
Um,
also a lie.
We have to be angry. All of you, if you are not angry about what happened this session, between the 10 or so gun control bills that were passed, teaching students to red flag their parents, telling adults under 21 you can't hunt anymore, attempting to allow the radical animal rights activists to sit on the CPW board and decide who gets hunting licenses and who doesn't. If you are not pissed off, I don't know where you've been for the last 5 years. You should be angry. You should be really, really, really angry. Between that and the radical transgender bills where they're going to come take your child away if you don't confirm their confusion and start chemically altering them at age 10. These are the people that we're up against. And if we are not angry, we are not going to develop the fortitude that we need to take our state back.
Amen.
Because you can run down to Texas. You can run to Arizona. They're not doing too hot over there either. They're holding on to their Republican majorities in the legislature by 1 seat in each chamber. A blue gust of wind could blow, their Democrat governor could get reelected, and all of a sudden Arizona, for the first time, honestly, I would argue first time ever, has a Democrat trifecta. And by looking at what they've done to this state, imagine what the people from California are gonna do to a state like Arizona if they get the opportunity to. So they're not safe. They've been trying to take over Texas now for 10 years. Thankfully, they've been held off, but there's some people in Texas with R's next to their name that run around and do the bidding of the radical left. It's unfortunate. We must, as Americans and as Coloradans, get involved in the fight. Fight back. Don't let these people turn our state into a hellhole. Because that's what they're doing. We have one of the most beautiful states in the nation. We have one of the most beautiful state capitals in the nation. Anyone ever seen a picture of the Florida State Capitol? It's the ugliest building I think I've ever seen. It's so disgusting. We have a Capitol building with a dome made out of solid gold that people trekked thousands of miles over mountains with ox carts to drag that gold over the Rockies to build our state capitol. And we allow vagrants and drug users, and Ketching was pulling up to a hearing and there were 2 guys smoking crack on Capitol grounds. We are allowing our state to turn into a third world nation. And at this point, if you're still here, either get involved or move. But I'm telling you, if you move, it's gonna follow you. Austin, Texas doesn't look too different from Denver.
No,
And they're in a red state.
agreed.
No hate against Texas, I love Texas, it's a great state. But my point being is that you're not safe anywhere, they're coming for you. We must stand up and we must fight.